Good morning, I'm Hazel Jarvis, and this week we are going to look at interiors, and specifically we're going to look at chairs, and we will start by considering some general principles.
So we're going to take a quick look at Peter de Hooch and his amazing chairs.
So I did a couple of quick studies of some of his paintings, and I tried to break them down into a very simple format. You will see that he has the chair in each of them. I've taken all the people out, obviously. He has the doorway into the space beyond, and oftentimes he'll have a window too for a light source. And if you look at a magazine or a catalogue, you'll tend to see the same approach to the chair portrait. The chair, the details, the window, oftentimes there'll be a door or there'll be the sense of something beyond. So now that we've had a quick look at the fundamentals, we're going to dive into a loose painting of a chair. So I also have my rough sketch, and you'll see that I've included a dog chewing a slipper because sometimes I think an interior can be a bit bare without a living creature or without a person.
I'm going to start with a very light pencil sketch, and I start by drawing a rectangle, which is the seat of the chair.
So here I have my rough sketch. I'm going to fine tune it and then we'll start painting. So I just add a couple more details. I add a discarded book. I add a couple of pictures. I've got a fairly low ceiling, so this is going to have kind of a cottagey feel to it, but that's what I'd like. And now we'll start. I always like to start with something fairly unimportant on the principle that I need to warm up. So I'm just going to put some sky in around our geranium over here. That seems like a fairly low risk proposition. Working off the principle that once you introduce a colour you should repeat it, we'll put some sky in our landscape paintings over here. Next I take a sort of fairly pale grey and I start to put some shadow in on the chair. And we'll put some shadow in the room beyond. I want my room to have a warm feel, so I mix up a apricot colour with a little bit of yellow, a little bit of pink and some white. For the ceiling, I just go back and I put a little bit of that shadow colour in, but only a suggestion, a whisper. Looking at this, I decide the dog has to be higher up in the picture, so I'm going to redraw him. I think he looks better if he's higher up. Now he looks much more connected to the picture. You can make your chair any colour that you want, but I'm going to make it a red chair because I want this to be a warm interior. To separate the parts of the chair, I leave just a thin line of unpainted paper. So I paint my chair essentially segment or area by area, leaving this line of unpainted paper. So the chair as our hero image gradually comes along. Some areas you'll be a little bit lighter and some areas you'll be a little bit darker. And with the same red, I'm going to dot in some geranium flowers on our plant in the windowsill. We'll take a tiny bit more red on our brush, maybe make it a little bit burgundy, and we'll paint in this poor slipper. With a little bit of burnt sienna, we are going to paint in the pot, the geranium pot, just behind the chair. We can go a little bit darker with our brown, and we can put in the feet, the bun feet of the chair. Of course, the dog is strictly optional, but I think he adds a nice touch of life to our interior. For the sake of internal harmony, we'll add a little bit of this yellow ochre to our landscape up here. Since periwinkle is our favourite colour, we'll put a bit more shadow in through the doorway over here. And we'll put a little bit of shadow on the ground behind the chair. Our cushion is going to be yellow, a nice sunny colour, but we'll do a pattern on top of this. And again, because the people who live here are very conscious of style, we'll put some yellow in the paintings. We'll have a very, very, very pale carpet over which we can layer some pattern to. So with a big brush, I just go around my chair, leaving the white space. So at this point, I'm going to step away. I'm going to let everything dry. I'm going to erase my underlying pencil lines, and then we'll add some detail to tie it all together. Depending on the paint, sometimes you can erase the pencil lines, sometimes not. And that's one reason why I really love to leave this white space. It's easier to erase the pencil line, but also I think it gives a nice fresh look. So I'm going to add the details of some of the geranium leaves now. I've added the geranium leaves and a touch of green to my pillow and to my landscapes and also to the book. So I continue adding details. I give the dog a little bit of form and I add a pattern to the chair. Next, I'm going to do the carpet. I add some yellow to the carpet to tie everything together. I want to tighten this up a little bit more by adding some details to the moulding around the doors and the windows, but not too much more. And I also want to add some pattern to the chair. And I'm going to finish up, finally, you say, by adding some white to the wallpaper behind and a little bit of pattern to the chair. And so I finally finish up with tons and tons of detail, but you already know I'm not a minimalist. I hope you've enjoyed this dive into chairs and into Peter de Hooch's general principles, and I can't wait to see what you're doing. So grab some coffee, sit comfortably, and start drawing.